Hi knitters. Welcome to PJ Knits. My name's Penny. You should see what keeps falling off my lap. Welcome to PJ Knits. This is January 6, 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. And thank you for joining me today. My water today is courtesy of my friend Brenda. That was a Christmas gift. Is that not just adorable? Everybody should have one of those. Thanks, Brenda. I had to share that with you all. Oh, my name's Penny. I'm from Central Illinois, and I'm a knitter, a blogger, and a YouTube podcaster. In Central Illinois today, it is 34 degrees. It is foggy. Yesterday was our last sunny day for like 4 or 5 days. Last week we had ice and then some snow, and it's been so cool that the snow is still on the branches out there. It is not melting a whole lot, so it's really beautiful to look at. But it has melted off of our street, so I'm thankful for that, and I hope that you're having some nice weather wherever you may be. So, guys, have you been watching all of the year-end podcasts? Wow. I'm going to kind of join on board with some of the same things that they've all been talking about, but in a PJ Knits way. Year in review. You know, every year I do keep tabs, and I've talked about this before. I have been keeping journals for many, many years. And I have just some here. They were Vera Bradley ones. Before these, they were, I had binder with pages on them, with the notes. And so I have one for many years. I think they go back to 2011. I have a knitter's journal. This one came from Schoolhouse Press, which I love. So I've been keeping tabs of my knitting projects forever. And I put in them the label, I put in a strap of the yarn and maybe who it was for, the date that I started, where I got the fabric, and then how much that I used. And then I use this to go back to my Ravelry projects page, and I do put my stuff into my Ravelry page, but I like to have a hard copy of as well of it, and I sit it next to my chair so that I can make notes as I go along or put scraps in. And for those of you who have seen me talk about my journals before, then when a journal is nearing completion, I go back and put paper clips on items that are unfinished or need me to look at again. Now, I'm going to say this more than once. I do not apologize for my whips. I like having whips. I like having multiple things to work on. So, and I won't tell you how many I've got, so don't ask me. Kind of like the fudge recipe. Anyway, so I do that so that I know that I can go back and maybe look at some of my whips and maybe clean them up in the new year. So for the last, in 2020 and then 2021, I am using this journal. And this is just a simple journal that I picked up at Walmart a year ago. And so at the end of the year, what I do, much like a lot of people do, is I go into my Ravelry group or into my notebook, and I will do a 2020 knitting wrap-up at the end of the year, and I will put that page in there. And so last year, for 2020, and I thought this was pretty good for me because I was doing a lot of knitting during pandemic, 3 pairs of socks, 9 sweaters, all for me. None were gifted. 3 shawls or wraps, 2 cowls, 3 scarves, 11 dishcloths, and a poncho, with the total coming to 32, which seems to me a little low, but those 9 sweaters, I worked a lot of those during pandemic and after I retired, so I was kind of pleased with that. And then also in my thoughts journal for this year, I put a page in here for 2021, what I would like to accomplish. Now, again, I'm not holding myself to this because I think to hold yourself to something specifically, I know for me, it causes some stress. And this is just a mindful thought of what I would like to do. Not necessarily what I will, but what I would like to do. And I put a little thing, a little sticker in here, get it done, wear your knits. And that is what I'm really concentrating, let's say this year, is I do want to finish up some of my WIPs. I want to look at them and see, should I continue with them? Should I rip them out? And so ideally, I'd like to do 3 knit WIPs in a month, but I'd be happy with a quarter looking at them. I want to knit from gift yarn because I have some friends who've given me some fantastic gift yarn, and I want to use those. Sweaters. I want to be wearing my sweaters this year, and so I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the hashtag TopThis2021, KAL. We will still do Summer of Shawls, and I want to use yarn from my personal yarn shop, and like everyone else who has blogged since the first of the year, they all want to use yarn from their personal yarn shop, which I'm calling my PYS. And I want to use patterns from my library and books that I have, because in the past, when I've seen a pattern that I just love, I buy it. And so I have a lot, and I want to take advantage of those. I also want to explore some different designers or designers that I have been using and look at their sweaters as well. So then I also did, in my way of planning, because I also have a planner for my daily activities, but I've created 12 pages in my thoughts journal, each for a different month. And I have put at the top, and I'm just looking to see if there's something. No, okay. So at the top, just for my reference, for the Top This KAL that we'll be doing this year, I went through, and for my climate, I put normal temperatures for each month. And then I listed projects that I would like to accomplish in that week, in that month. And then also I listed a couple of WIPs, and then the sweaters that I would like to complete during that month for the Top This KAL. And then at the bottom, I put a little hashtag 3 knit WIPs. And as I finish a WIP, then in red, it gets a place of honor there. So I have done that for every month, January through December. And this is just what I want or would love to accomplish, or things that I want to think about. And for me, it's important for me to do this plan. And I know others don't want to plan that far out. But there are things that I remembered that this year at Christmas time, like I wish I would have started that holiday shawl in September or October. So what I did is I listed that in September, start that Christmas shawl. So I'm not waiting till the 1st of December and saying, dang, I wish I would have done that. So that it's just a kind of a little plan out to what I would like to do during those months, and a reminder of things that I thought about this year and then didn't complete. Or if there was somebody's birthday and I wanted to knit something for that birthday, I wanted to make sure that I started that a couple of months out. So in my thoughts journal, that way I have a little plan as I come to the month and not wait till the day before the party. So anyway, those are just some things that I have put into my thoughts journal for 2021. I also have a planner that I am working on, and this is an Erin Condren planner, and I went with the vertical size. And what I'm doing is, for my first vertical section, this is going to be appointments or reminders. The second one is knitting, if I have certain knitting that I want to accomplish during certain days. And the last one is for my to-do list, the things that I have to do today, or go to the library, or any of those things that have to be done. And then at the bottom, I'm using this in red, and this is for bills or things that are going to be taking out of our checking account. So this is kind of a work in progress for me, and I'll talk about it more as the year goes on, of what I'm kind of planning. And I know from everything that I've been seeing out there that there is a lot of people who are doing the same thing. So this is not any new concept that I'm bringing to you. This is just a plan for what I'm going to do. So let's talk about the top of this 2021 KAL. And I hope some of you will join me in this endeavor. I know there are a few of us that are in our Ravelry group. On Ravelry, it's PJ Knits. And what this is an all-year knit-along for sweaters. Because what I want to do is I want to wear sweaters. I think nothing says to the world that you're a knitter than a sweater. And I want to take advantage of the sweater quantities I have and the sweaters that I have in my wardrobe along with my library. So first of all, I want to create a sweater wardrobe. Secondly, I want to have the sweaters completed before the season ends. Nothing has been more frustrating for me, as you can tell, is to finish a winter sweater in April, knowing full well that we're going to go into summer. So my plan is to work on those sweaters before the season ends so that they're done and I can wear them for at least a few weeks to a month or 2 months. And I want to knit sweaters that I will wear. And I'm taking this, paraphrasing this little quote from someone on the Rainy Sisters group on Ravelry. Basically, sweaters I want to wear, not sweaters I think I should wear. Think about that. How often do we choose a sweater pattern based on what we've seen on Instagram? Oh, I have to knit that. And I am guilty of that. And I have knit a couple and I bought patterns on a couple of those. And you know what happens? Then I realize I'm not 40. That's not my lifestyle. That style doesn't look good on me, but I really wanted to knit it because everybody else was knitting on it. So my plan for at least my sweater knitting, this for 2021, is to knit sweaters that I will wear and not necessarily always jump on the bandwagon. So that's just my philosophy and where I would like to go. So for the first period of sweater knitting that I am doing, this is going to be from January to probably about the end of March, where in Illinois we can go all the way down from 11 degrees-ish, even colder, to maybe 44 degrees. And so sweaters are something that you can wear, heavier sweaters that I can wear from now until then. And you all know that I have talked about something that I have had in the works since last year, is my Storm Mountain. And I've talked about this before on other podcasts. This particular one came from an inspiration photo that I have in my binder. And this was the inspiration photo. I saw this several years ago, and I wanted to duplicate the outfit. And I've talked about this in the last couple of podcasts. And I have a shawl by Cheryl Oberly that I've shown also on the podcast. It's called Down Over Shawl, and I did mine in a black and gray. And so that was kind of the thought process behind this wardrobe that I wanted to build. And I have a red turtleneck, and so what I needed was some sort of sweater to go with that. And so what I did is I started and I went out started out and I went searching for patterns that would be good for that to duplicate the look of my inspiration photo. And what I came up with was Heidi Kirrmeyer's Storm Mountain. And you know what happens, I don't know, at least for me, is what's happening is when I find a designer that I like, I tend to keep knitting on that designer because there's something about their aesthetic that makes me want to knit them. So what I did is I chose her Storm Mountain. And then I went and found yarn from one of my, from a yarn dyer that I like and have seen a little bit. And this was Carol Sunday's yarn, and it's called, or Sunday Knits. It's Eden in Clove, and this is a 3-ply sport weight, and I love her yarn. The yarn is wonderful. And so here is the back of mine so far, and this is a merino from Carol. This is the back, and this is so much fun. I am having a lot of fun with this. Isn't that cool? So it's still giving me that look that I'm looking for. And I'm loving this. I'm so excited about this knit. And the nice thing about it, it will be great next fall, but it will be great into the spring to throw over just a t-shirt if I want as well. So this was Storm Mountain. And my inspiration came all from that inspiration photo that I found on Pinterest probably 6 years ago. Still, I think something that you can be worn 6 years later. So I'm super, super excited about that. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you a thought process that I have going. You know, like I said, when you find designers that you like, don't you gravitate towards them? I wanted to just show a couple of items that I have knit from Heidi Kirrmeyer already. This one here is Summer Solstice pattern. And originally I knit this out of Briar Rose Wistful. And you know I love Briar Rose yarn. It has now been discontinued, but it is an alpaca merino silk. And I love this one. And I love the design. This is a Heidi Kirrmeyer again. She has these interesting way of making you knit these. And then as I recall, the band on the front was not supposed to garter, but I saw somebody else who did garter, and so I added garter to mine at that point in time. But I get a lot of wear out of this. That is Summer Solstice. And then in 2019, we decided at ZK, our table mates, to have a sweater that everybody knit. And I did Avalanche. And this was out of Simply Worsted yarn. And it's a heavy, you know, it's supposed to be worsted. This is supposed to be a worsted weight yarn, but it's really heavier than that. And I love this one. And what I did is I found in my wardrobe a tank top with the same colorways. So that way I could wear it underneath and not worry about anything showing. But this is Avalanche, and I love this one too. Nice rib at the bottom, simple little cable, and some eyelets there. And so I really love that one. So when I started thinking about Heidi Kirrmeyer and all the sweaters that I really liked from her, I noticed that I had some more in the winter group from her. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to get these knit this winter between now and the end of February or March, but here's a couple of ideas for you all if you're looking for Heidi Kirrmaier patterns that you might want to knit. These are from my library. This one's called Mountain High. I think that'd be super fun, even for next fall to wear. Throw over a turtleneck or a tank when you're heading out in the fall. So that has possibilities. And then also Snowbird. Another cool little design. Pretty simple sweater. And I'm not sure, this one may be, one of these two may be freebies. I didn't pay attention to that. But tea with jam and bread, little pockets here, an easy pattern that you could do all in one, or some of those colors, single or double skeins that you have. I really like that one, has possibilities as well. And then After the Rain, this one would be totally fun for spring as well. And that's another one of hers. I just really love Heidi Kirrmaier, and she has just a few, you know, just a little something more when you're knitting these. Most of them are not just super simple, but easily knit, and I just like the way she designs, obviously. So then the other sweater that I have on the needles for right now, and I talked about this maybe a couple of podcasts ago, and another company that I love is Espace Tricot's Bright Side. And you probably already know this, but the Espace Tricot patterns out on their website are free. And wow, thank you to them for making those available. And so what I have on the needles out of some linen quill from Pearl Soho. And this is in their green turquoise. And I'm at the point now where it's just an easy knit, round and round and round till as far as down as I want to go. A super simple pattern, I think, after you get past the increases. And I would say that when you get ready to, if you are knitting this one, is to pay attention to the markers. I think the increase spots are a little confusing, and so you have to have your wits about you and make them, the markers, mean something to you. But once you get the increases in, right now, put the sleeves on threads, and I'm off just to knit. Now, you will look at this and you'll say, boy, that looks small. But I'm on a really small needle right now, on like a 24. And so at some point in time, I will increase that and then motor on with that. So this is a super simple one. This is one that I can sit and watch TV at night and not have to pay a whole lot of attention. So in keeping with when you like a pattern designer, you tend to want to knit more of their things. And so I have on today Turtle Dove 2. And this particular one was the second Turtle Dove by Espace Tricot that was done out of a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more affordable yarn. And this was out of Drops Air, which I love. I made the first one, and this is also, both of these are free patterns. This is the Turtle Dove, and I did this one originally out of Woolfolk, which is the yarn that it was originally designed for. A little bit pricier, but still as nice, a little bit heavier. And I just love this pattern. And I love the Drops Air, and I loved working with this as well. This is, again, a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter weight, a more affordable yarn. And both yarns I bought from Espace Tricot, and they carry this Drops Air, which I love. And Debbie, she's got some of this and knit some hats out of it. It's luscious. It's nice. It's wonderful to knit with and to wear. So Just a couple other patterns from Espace Tricot for wintertime that you may want to check out. And again, these are frees on their website. Gracious. I love this one, and very conducive to yarns that you may have in your stash. And these are, they knitted out originally out of Espace Tricot Grace, which is a merino cashmere silk, and done on a size 5 and 6. So this has possibilities, and I've seen these knitted. It's very reminiscent of the other patterns that they do as well. So another, I think, a pretty simple pattern that new knitters could use. And this one I am dying to cast on, but I have a couple to finish before I'm going to. And this is Calliope. And I love this. And I have some Molly Klein yarn that I think that would be perfect in this particular sweater. Again, another one of their free patterns done out of Josephine and Leona yarn. And I'm sure you could, and you can purchase the yarn at Espace Tricot as well. I love this one as well. So those are just some ideas for the hashtag Top This 2021 KAL. I hope you will join me in this year-long knit along and use the hashtag on Instagram. By the way, I am PJ Knits on Instagram, and I am Penny J on Ravelry. Our Ravelry group is PJ Knits, and please post them on all of those social medias. I'd love to see them and love to keep in touch with you, and I'd love to know what you're knitting, and give us some ideas. Show us what you're knitting for the Top This 2021. Let's create a sweater wardrobe that we want to wear, okay? Alrighty, so next up, hashtag updates. The hashtag Comforting Crafts knit along, the dishcloth along is closed. That closed on December 31st. And Brittany / B-Wing says that she has over 300 dishcloths for El Salvador, and we're so pleased. Thank you for everybody who contributed. Annette, which is Nettie 1020, was the recipient of the Coco Knits prize baggie, and now that I've shown it, and this was label and some magnets that were donated. And so those will be on their way to you, Annette, tomorrow, hopefully. And I got a wonderful little gift in the mail from Brittany, and thank you so much. A little note card that she stamped, a pack of note cards, not just a note card. I thought this was so cute. And as I was telling her, how did she know that it goes with my linen quill yarn that I had? So thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Annette. Thank you to everybody who joined us during the last year on the dishcloth along. I know that Brittany is very appreciative, as well as I am. Okay. Books and bags. Let's start with books. I have the coolest book that I received as a Christmas present from Brenda. And the fun thing is, as soon as I went to open the baggie it was in, I saw the packaging, Pittsburgh Mercantile, and we became aware of this vendor by the podcast Caddy Jacks. I think it's so cool. I'm saving the wrap because I love it so much. But that's not it. I got this wonderful book. It's called Invisible Jumpers. It's by Joseph Ford. The knitting is by Nina Dodd. It is optical illusions. If you remember the chalk drawings that a lot of people do, and you see those on Facebook, this book is phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's great. It's so cool. I can't tell you. And I love this. Invisible Jumpers. Look at this. Do you see the bust seat and the sweater that he's knitting and the sweater he's wearing? And Nina knit all of these sweaters in this book. All of the knits. You just look at this. I'm not going to show you them all, but and it's more of an optical illusion book. It's not really a reading book, but it's so much fun, and I'm going to put it on my table to look, and I look at it often. And there is the story about how this came all about, how the jumpers were knit, how they got them to coordinate with the backgrounds and how hard that was. Just so much fun. So this is Invisible Jumpers by Joseph Ford and Knitting by Nina Dodd. And I follow her on Instagram, and a cool knit designer. This is so amazing. So if you want a fun book to sit and look at and to show others and to put on your coffee table or your side table, this is fun. And again, this was from Pittsburgh Mercantile. I love this. Thank you so much, Brenda. This has brought me great joy and great fun to look at and continue to look at. I am totally amazed. Bags. I don't have any new bags. I didn't buy any. Are you proud? But I just wanted to call out, I have switched over to my Norma bag for March, January, February, March. I'll put this is in my purse, and it is my accessory, my notions, my personal items that goes in my purse. And Norma made me one for almost every season. And I think I have a Valentine's one, but I couldn't find it, so it must have a project in it. So that's the only bag that I'm going to show to you today. That is from my friend Norma, who has passed away several years ago and is always missed, but I always think about her when I pull out one of my bags. Finished objects. Okay, Sun Valley Fiber Advent Calendar. Finished. Interesting. I finished a project that I was knitting on, and this had some stops and starts. Originally, this was going to be the Amba O'Brien Adventurous Wrap. That's how I started out. But as I started with day one and went towards them, I really was wondering if this was something that I wanted to continue on. Then my friend Becky and I exchanged Christmas presents, and she gave me this logo top. And I had, at that point in time, I had stopped working on this. I was like, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to open up all of the other yarns, and let's see how they turn out. And so I stopped, because for me, it wasn't going the progression that I thought it should. And I thought, well, maybe I will want to make a change. So I stopped knitting on it, received this Christmas gift, and thought to myself when I opened it, and I said to her, oh, I'll have to look and see if I can knit a shawl to go around it, because it's a little lighter weight. Okay. The next morning, I'm standing in the shower where a lot of thought process goes through, and all of a sudden hit me. I think the colors that I have used so far are the colors that are in my new top. So as soon as I got out, I went in and checked it out, threw it over it, and sure enough, the colors in the top are the colors in my shawl. So what I did at that point, and I was probably about right here, I continued on, and I've made it into just a triangular shawl now, using the first 15 days of my Advent calendar. And I think it's going to go, it's perfect. It's perfect for it. So that is my Advent calendar from Sun Valley Fibers. And then what I'm going to do with the rest of them, because I opened them all up and didn't show them. These would not go with my top that I want to knit, so I'm going to save those and maybe knit them up for a cowl or another shawl later, because I think they all go well together, right? So I still have 10 and I'll use them at another time. So I was so excited. I was so excited when I saw that, when it happened. I was pleased that I could use those so well with what I had. So that's the only finished object I have. WIPs. I have my Knitmas project. It is in progress, but I cannot show it to you because it is a surprise, and it has to be done by the end of January is my plan, and get it in the mail by the 1st of February to my Knitmas partner, and with some goodies in that. I have my Cozy my Cozy Knitter Advent socks. I've really not made a whole lot of progress on those. I was having some problems with my hand late before Christmas, so I kind of stopped on them. Plus, I was working diligently on a couple of other things. And so that's all the further I am then. But I'm ready now to continue on with this sock and get those two finished for winter weather. And then lastly, I have a blanket that's on the needles. It is for a friend's baby, and they are doing their nursery in woodland animals. And so I have picked out the colors of the grasses in the woods. This is Heavenly Heathers, and this is my go-to baby blanket for babies that are not blood relatives. And it comes out of 60 Quick Baby Blanket book. And I just love this one. And like I said, I use it all the time. And it's double-stranded, and I'm using Cascade Pacific on mine, which I tend to use a lot because that's just the yarn that I like using. You can find at my local yarn shop, the Fiber Universe has a lot of colors in it. So here we go. And I've showed this before. This one's a great one for hospice as well, red, white, and blues. And so I was kind of doing the takeoff on that. It is Heavenly Heathers. It's by Carol Sulkowski. And again, I'm using Cascade Pacific held together. And I've got about 2 more greens to go in that. And what I'm trying to do is every couple of days do a section. It's an easy section to get done while you're watching TV. But again, it's on a little bit larger needle. And for me, that sometimes causes a little thumb pain. So I'm spreading it out. But I'm super pleased about that. And I have a special way that I'm going to gift that to them. So that is what I have got going that is on the needles. So those are just some of the things I wanted to talk to you about today. I just want to finish up with a couple of things. What about all the Advent calendars and the Vlogmases that were out there? Guys, we got a list of Advent calendars that I want to explore next year, spring, summerish. Make sure I get on their list so that I can look at them. There were so many wonderful ones out there. And I definitely will do, I think, Cozy Knitter again next year. And there's so many out there. Chelsea Yarns, I'm dying for that one. Suburban Stitcher. And then Vlogmases on YouTube, because we've been home a lot and I've been knitting. Guys, did you watch Chelsea Yarns? I loved theirs every day, and I know the effort that went through that. That one was fantastic. Sandy by the Lakeside, I loved hers. Arne and Carlos, were you watching the Sit and Knits? Those were fun. Even the tall guy was watching with me. I just loved everything about that. And you know that I'm a Norway fan. And so many thoughts are percolating in my brain for next year. Bed of Roses, I watched hers. Beautiful, just beautiful. And Girl Meets Yarn, I love watching Marilisa as well. But it's an acquired taste, guys. So if you're checking that one out. But there were so many. Bumblebee Acres, For the Fun of Knit. I know what it goes into. Last year, I did one and every couple of days, and it was just amazing. And I didn't do any editing. So fun to watch that on YouTube, and it gives us something to watch. So new year, what are your plans, guys? For me, it's every year to knit down my WIPs, to be healthier. I want to do more reading. I want to get a plan. I don't want to be always just behind the 8 ball trying to get things done. I've been looking at YouTube a lot, and my gosh, I'm going down the cross-stitch quilting, sewing rabbit hole again. I started out as a cross-stitcher many years ago and a sewer, and I've done quilting, so I'm excited that this summer and this spring that I'll be able to do more of that because I've got time now that I'm retired. So I am looking forward to so many fun things in 2021, and I know that it will not be long and we'll be together again, and maybe 6 months-ish, but I'm looking forward to that, and I know you are all too. So my wish for you all is to have a happy, healthy, safe new year. I can't wait to see you somewhere at a festival or at a yarn shop or at the riverfront. Thank you all for watching, and until the next time, knit on with confidence and hope. Bye-bye.